Hello everyone, welcome to Knowledge India. I hope your learning on AWS is going good. In this tutorial, I'm trying to look at the different EC2 pricing options. Now, in case of EC2, there are many things or there are many models which you need to understand. And I've seen people getting confused between these things at many times. So I've tried to summarize it here in one slide for you, and I will try to walk you through that. I'll explain you how does it work, a few of the finer details, and I'll also try to show you that when you are working when you are working on AWS console or via AWS calculator, monthly calculator, how can you find the pricing for a particular EC2, uh, you know, with a particular pricing option, right? So let us get started quickly. Uh, in case of EC2, the first and the foremost or the default mode is the on-demand one, right? So on-demand mode is where you do not do any commitment. You pay by the hour, meaning for the when you start an instance, for the number of hours it runs, you pay, according to that. You are not committing anything to AWS, meaning you are not saying or you are not telling AWS that I'll be using this instance for this many number of months or year or anything. You start and stop whenever you want, right? So in this case, any partial hour will be converted to full. So for example, if you are running an instance for 3.5 hours, you pay for 4 hours, right? It is very important to understand that when a new billing cycle starts, okay, so whenever your instance changes to running state, right, when it is in pending state, that time you're not charged. Whenever it changes to running state, that is when your billing cycle starts. And whenever you stop an instance or you try to terminate it, when it moves to the stopping state, exactly at that time your billing cycle ends. Okay, now it's important to understand that uh, whenever whenever your instance moves to running state, from stop state it moves to the running state, or it is newly getting launched and it is moving to running state, your a new billing cycle starts. Let me take an example and explain it. If you start an instance at 9:30 a.m. and you go ahead and stop it at say 9:45 a.m., you again start it at 9:50, okay, and you let's say stop it at 10:05. Okay, so now you stopped it in between at 9:45, so the first billing cycle will end there, right? And because it is partial, it gets converted to full, so that is 1 hour. Again, you started it at 9:50 and it ended at 10:05, so this is again less than 1 hour. It also gets converted to full. You pay for 2 hours in this case. Okay, whereas if it would be a reboot at 9:45, not a stop start, the billing cycle continues. The old billing cycle itself continues. In that case, it would have been one cycle. So understand that whenever you stop and start, a new billing cycle starts. Okay, also, some people are confused at times. They think that the billing cycle starts at typical times like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. It's not like that. Whenever an instance comes to running state, that is when its billing cycle starts, right? So, for example, if I say 9:15 a.m. to 10:15 a.m., I have an instance running. It is only one billing cycle. It is not two. Thinking that 9 to 10 and then 10 to 11. Don't get confused in that way. All right, next is the reserved option. Um, Whenever you have clarity that you will be running a workload for longer duration on AWS, you can go ahead and reserve your instances. Meaning you are giving a commitment that you will be using this particular instance type for this much duration. There are two terms which are available, meaning duration which is possible. It is 1 year or 3 years. Of course, you save more in case of 3 years. And three types of payment options: full upfront, partial upfront, and no upfront. As the name says, full upfront, you pay the money for the full term in the starting itself, no monthly bill for the instance usage thereafter. Partial upfront, you pay a part in the starting and remaining comes in the monthly bill. In case of no upfront, you don't pay anything in the start, monthly bill comes, but you still save a lot in terms of, when you compare it with the on-demand instances. So a lot of saving will be there. No upfront is not available for 3 year term, right? So for that, only full and partial are available. One thing which many people do not realize at times, reservation just does not save you money. It also gives you capacity guarantee. What does that mean? With the capacity guarantee, you can be sure that when, let's say, if I go ahead and reserve three M4 large instances in Oregon availability zone A, So it means that uh, Amazon will ensure that at any point of time, I would be able to run three M4 large instances in Oregon availability zone A. Right? I would never be getting an error saying that capacity or the capacity is not available. If you have not reserved, sometimes for certain for some rare type of instance types, you might get that error. So look at the options of reserving. So you will be committing for the full term, which means doesn't matter for how many number of hours you are running your instance. uh, you have basically blocked it, or you have basically blocked it for the full year, or for the full 3 year duration, 3 years duration. Okay. Yeah. um, in case after some time you do not want to use your reserved instances, meaning you are looking at reselling it, there's an option to resell it. You can do that, but there won't be any refund. You can only resell it. If you get a customer, you can do that. It is available on the AWS website itself. Moving on, next is a scheduled reservation. Now certain times people or customers will have a scenario where they want to use certain instances for for comparatively lesser number of hours but daily. For example, look at your dev or test machines, or some batch processing which you do weekly or monthly, for x number of hours. In such cases, that for sure that you'll be using the instances, but only thing is you do not want to use it like 24 into 7 into 365, right? You do not want to do it that way. So for such things, there is a scheduled reservation option available. It is 1 year term. You define the frequency and the number of hours, that from which time to which time. For example, daily frequency is daily, and the timing is from morning 9 a.m. to night 8 p.m. So, and a particular instance type. So you will be able to use that instance type every day from morning 9 a.m. to night 8 p.m. And if you calculate the pricing, it would be lesser than that of on-demand rates. Okay, so you can look at utilizing scheduled reservation at times. Next is the spot instances. Now spot instances are those, so basically the compute capacity which is currently not used by other customers. AWS gives that capacity for for bidding. You can go ahead and submit a bid, and if your bid is more than the market price, more than or equal to the market price, you get that many instances. In case this spot market price keeps fluctuating, if the market price goes above your bid price, whatever you have specified, then those instances are taken away or basically terminated with 2 minutes of notice period. There is a status which you can continue to poll via a small application, and once your instance is marked for termination, you can go ahead and stop the activities on your machine. So there is a detailed way to use how do you want to use a spot instances, but 2 minutes notice period is actually good enough for your application to read and act on that. Okay. In case AWS terminates your instances because of this price change, the last partial hour is not charged to you. It becomes free. There is also an option available now called a spot block. While submitting your bid, if you use a spot block option, you can go ahead and specify a duration. And once you get the instances, doesn't matter what happens to the price, till that much duration the instances would not be taken back or would not be terminated. But the maximum duration possible with the spot block is 6 hours. Okay. All right, so moving on to next thing, dedicated instances and dedicated host. In case you do not understand the difference between dedicated instance and dedicated host, there's a link appearing now. You can click on that and look at another detailed video where I have explained the differences between the two. Here I will just try to talk about the pricing. In case of dedicated instances, of course, per hour rates would be more than the on-demand instances, because here you get hardware level isolation from other customers. In addition to per hour rate, you also pay a additional fee of $2 per hour per region wherever you have any one dedicated instance running. Now understand, if you have like more than one number of dedicated instances running in one region, you will pay $2 per hour only once. Okay, not like per instance. It is per region if you have a minimum one dedicated instance running there. I'll try to show it to you in monthly calculator as well. Moving on, next is dedicated host. So we know that in case of dedicated host, you get a complete physical host for yourself, and on that your EC2 instances run. So it doesn't matter how many EC2 instances you are running at a particular point of time, you always pay for the full host, right? Because that is blocked for you. So that is the thing, and it is comparatively costlier than other options, of course, but it helps you to go ahead and use your hardware bound licenses. Also, when the beauty of dedicated host is when you stop and start your EC2 instances, it continues to run on the same hardware or on the same host. Okay. All right. So I think I've covered this. Let me quickly show you a few things. So I'm here on the EC2 dashboard, and I want to see you here. I want you to see here on the left hand side, you got instances where all your instances which you launch will be running. Now, when you launch an instance, you do not define whether it is on demand or reserved. Uh, while your instances are running, billing cycles get created at the backend, and in case you have a reservation which matches that particular instance type, region, and availability zone, the profit of that reservation gets applied against that particular cycle, right? So while you go and look at your running instances, you will not see any field like whether it is reserved or on demand. So the way you need to understand is reservation is a billing concept. You continue to run your instances, and if you have reservation, that gets applied at the billing level. You have a spot request, you can come here and look at the previous pricing if you want, and you can decide you can basically decide that what should be the price of your bid. So there is a history available of a spot pricing, which you can click here on the pricing history, and you can look at it, right? And then you can submit bids. As the result of that bit, the instances which get created, they will also continue to run here in this section only, but there will be a field which recognizes them separately. In case of reserved instances, if you go ahead and basically reserve, then just the instance type, platform type, whether it is Unix or it is Windows, and in which availability zone, how many instances you have reserved, only those numbers will be there. That's it. You do not get any instance ID as such. Only reservation ID will be there, I suppose. There will not be any instance ID. As I said earlier, if there is a matching instance which is running, you basically your reservation benefit gets applied there. Okay. Scheduled instances and dedicated hosts, you got a separate link for them as well. If you are running that, you'll be able to see. Quickly moving to the simple monthly calculator, all of you know about this. What I've done here is I've considered North Virginia, and you can see I've chosen M4 X large, and here if you go to the advanced options, you got dedicated instances. If you tick here, then it is not considered just an on-demand instance, rather a dedicated instance, and for that the respective pricing will start showing up here. You can see dedicated per region free, which is 1464. If you go ahead and calculate, it will be like 2 into 24, $2 per hour, so 2 into 24 into 30 roughly. So that is what it would be, right? And you can see I have both of these instances running in the dedicated instances mode, but that gets applied only once because it is in one region. So that is what I wanted to show you. In case you want to look at in case you want to look at any dedicated host pricing, that also you have available here. In case of dedicated host, it is basically the full host which you take, right? That's why there is nothing written after M4 or D2 or anything, because you're taking the full host. So you can go ahead and choose, and its pricing also will start coming here. So yeah, that is what I wanted to show you. In addition to that, there's one more stuff in case you want to look at. Okay, I also wanted to show you about the dedicated host pricing. So I showed you the pricing here. Here you can look at something. This table is beautiful. If you have taken an M4 box, how many instances you will be able to run depending on the size. This you can understand here. I think this tutorial should be useful. If you have any doubts, you can go ahead and write that. I'll try to answer you. I've tried to summarize all the possible options in one place. And I hope it helps you. If you like it, please go ahead and share and subscribe. Thank you. Bye bye.